All right, this is 1.3 problem solving, and I'm going to start with the first problems that have to deal with drawing a diagram. So the trap here is that a lot of times students look at these problems thinking that, oh, I've got 8 plants and I want 2 feet between them. So the common error is to do 8 times 2 and say that there's 16 feet between them. But if we draw a picture of our 8 plants and then we actually look at 2 feet between each of these plants, we can see that we actually only have 7 spaces. And so 14 feet between the first plant and the second plant. Okay, and then we can extend this onto going on further to a larger problem by realizing the number of plants minus 1 is going to be multiplied by the 2 feet. So we can write that in general terms like that to get the answer to, if I had 100 plants, how many feet would be between the first and the last plant. The same idea for this next problem. We're going to draw a sub, and it says this sub is going to be cut lengthwise or crosswise down the middle, and then we're going to make a bunch of cross cuts so that I end up with 20 pieces. So as I cut, you're going to see my pieces that are going to add up to 20 pieces. And so you can see as I highlight each one of these cuts, here's the first cut. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cuts. I will make 10 cuts to give me 20 pieces. And so if I take that a little bit broader, then I'm going to recognize that the number of pieces that I want divided by 2 is going to be the number of cuts that I want. Okay? So those two use pictures. The next type of problems we're going to talk about are ratios and proportions. A ratio is a comparison of two numbers, and we're going to write it like a fraction. A proportion is two equal ratios, and we solve by cross multiplying. And that says that A times D, which is this diagonal, is going to equal B times C, which is that diagonal. So I always recommend that you do this. Write out in words the two things that you're comparing so that you don't misplace a number. So as I read this first problem, I'm comparing height to the length of its shadow. So I actually write height over length of shadow. And that way I know exactly where to put my numbers. So I start by filling these two blanks out. The first ratio should be given to you. We've got a 3-foot stick that cast a 0.6 foot shadow. We want to know the height, so that's what's missing, of a tree that cast a 7.86 foot shadow. So now when we solve this, I use cross multiplication, and an easy way to do that is to take 3 times 7.86 and then always divide by the number across from the variable, and that will tell you that your tree is going to be 39.3 feet tall. Okay? So in the same idea, we are comparing pages to minutes. So I go here and I have 40 pages read in 5 minutes. I want to know how many pages is read in 80 minutes. So again, I will take 40 times 80 and then divide it by 5 to get 640 pages. Now the next page is just kind of a fun page. I'll post that in the notes. But these next two problems I want you really to understand because you will see these again. And a lot of times students feel that all the numbers that are in the problem have to be used in the problem solving, and that's not necessarily the case in this first one. Yes, it's important that you're buying a house that's $150,000. It's important that you're taking out a loan for $100,000 and you're putting $50,000 down, but these numbers really aren't relevant to solving the problem, okay? What you want to figure out is how much you're saving between the 15-year loan and the 30-year loan. So I'm going to make a table, and I'm going to put 15 years over here and 30 years over here. And so the first thing I have to do is find the number of months in 15 years. So 12 months in 1 year times 15 years says that I will make 180 monthly payments. And that amount for the 15-year loan is going to be $776.31. And so when I multiply 180 times the $776 amount, that says I will end up paying $139,000, $735.80. So now mind you that you only borrowed $100,000, so you paid almost $40,000 in interest. I mean, that's relevant, but that number 100,000 is not relevant to the solving of the problem, okay? Now we do the same thing, 12 months times 30 years, and that says we're going to make 360 monthly payments. So the amount for the 30-year loan is $583.18. So I'm going to multiply that, and that comes out to be $209,944.80. Okay, so you can see you way over doubled the amount that you borrowed if you do a 30-year loan. But we still haven't answered the question yet. The question says, how much are we going to save? So we need to take these two amounts and subtract them. So when I do that, you can see that I save $70,209, okay? The next problem is very similar, and this one is talking about mail order tires versus local purchase. So we're going to go ahead and make our table here, mail order and local purchase. And so when we do this one, the mail order, okay, you are paying $62 a tire, $6 a tire, and then $8.37 a tire for mounting. So what I like to do is total up my cost for one tire. And so if I add those up, that tells me I am paying $76.37 per tire, and I'm going to buy, or this person, Mary, is going to buy 4 tires, so she will spend $305.48 if she purchases through the mail, okay? Be careful of this number because a lot of students tend to miss that number, but you have to recognize per tire, per tire, per tire, okay? Now, the local purchase is an amount plus tax. So the first thing that you have to remember about tax, it's a percent that needs to be changed to a decimal without the percent sign. So 8 divided by 100 comes out to be 0.08. And that's going to be the amount that I'm going to multiply the total cost by. And so that comes out to be $28.48, which I now have to add back in to the price of $3.56. So the tires will cost $384.48. And so just like the previous problem, they want to know how much you will save. So you're going to take $384.48 and subtract $305.48, and that tells you that you will save $79. Now, again, I'm not going to go through all of these problems. I'm going to do the next problem, which is doing trial and error. And the important thing about this problem here is that you are sending a total of 12 packages. Small boxes are $5, medium are $10.50, and we know that roughly the cost was $110. So I start by making a table so that I have small, and those are $5, medium, and those are $10.50, and then total cost, I want to be about $110. So I'm going to start, the easiest way to start this is by cutting 12 in half. Let's do 6 of each box. So 6 small plus 6 medium comes out to be $93. Okay, which is, it's close to 110, but we can get closer. So then I say, all right, well, let's do 7 and 5 because the number of boxes have to add up to 12. 7 small plus 5 large, that comes out to be $87.50. So now we're going in the wrong direction. So that means we're going to have to up the medium boxes versus the small boxes. So I'm going to say, all right, let's do 5 and 7. 5 small plus 7 medium gives me $98.50, getting closer. And I'm going to jump and do 3 and 9. So 3 small plus 9 medium, that comes out to be $109.50. So you will have a blank for the small boxes and the medium boxes, and then you would just insert 3 small and 9 medium. Okay? All right, so I'm going to skip these. Let's go to this one. Okay, this is another one that we need to have a star by, okay? So in this problem, you have a before tax meal, and then you've got a bunch of percentages that you're going to have to figure out some amounts. So the first one I would do 6.5% is going to be 6.5%, which translates into 0.065. If you're paying more in tax than your actual bill, that's a sign that your decimal is not in the correct spot. And then we multiply it times $28, and that's going to give us tax of $1.82. But they're asking for the total bill with tax. So that will be $29.82. Now, Part B is asking for a 10% tip, and that's on the pre-tax price. Okay, so 10% is written as 0.10 times the 28 pre-tax cost, and that comes out to be $2.80. And then the last part is they want to leave a 15% tip on the pre-tax price. And so 15% is 0.15 times 28, and that comes out to be $4.20. That's the first part of how much he should leave. But the total bill is going to be the pre-tax meal plus the tip, plus the tax plus the tip. So we already figured out the total meal with the tax in part A, and so we're going to add $4.20, and so that's going to come out to be $34.02. Okay. Now I'm going to skip this next one because I want these next two. I want to go to this one because a lot of students have trouble with this one. And this is using a formula. And so what you have to do is that you are looking for the adjusted gross income of this married couple. And so when you look at this chart, the taxes that you will pay will start in the lowest bracket is just 10% of your income. When you move up a bracket, it becomes that 10% of the highest amount of income from the last bracket plus 15% of anything over that. And then you have the next bracket is $9,362.50 plus 25% of the amount. So the number that is closest to this without going over is going to be falling in this bracket. So I'm going to write out in words what we're going to do. So taxes paid is going to use this formula. This number right here, $9,362.50 plus 25% of your adjusted gross income, which we don't know, over $68,000. Okay? Now we're going to fill in the information that we know. We know the taxes paid, $13,378.50 is going to equal $9,362.50. We're now going to change the 25% into a decimal and then leave what our parentheses is equal to right now. Okay, so now we've got an equation, and we're going to undo pieces of this equation by doing the opposite operation. To undo addition, we are going to use subtraction. And whatever I do to the one side of the equation, I must also do to the other side. So this subtraction leaves me with 4,016, and this subtraction disappears because it equals 0. So now I just bring down this. Now, there are ways to do this. You could multiply both sides by 4. You could divide by 0.25. You could distribute. I think it's easier. The least amount of steps that you have to worry about is going to undo that multiplication, which is going to be taken care of by division. And 0.25 divided by 0.25 is 1. And 4,016 divided by 0.25 is 16,064. And so that leaves me with the following equation. And to get my final answer, to undo subtraction, I do the opposite, which means I am going to add. So the adjusted gross income is going to be $84,064, which is in between this range right here. Okay, so use that one as an example when you come up to the tax problem. Okay. All right, the next one that you're going to need to do is dealing with tire pressure. And so you're going to have to do this a couple times. You're going to do one column for when you have 30 pounds per square inch. And then you're going to do another one when you raise the pounds per square inch up to 35. The important thing to remember is that you're driving 24,000 miles for the year, okay? And you're going to divide it by the average mile per gallon for 30 PSIs. And that tells you that you will use roughly, and I'm going to round it to 2 decimal places, 1,153.85 gallons. Then we're going to do it for the 35 PSIs by dividing it by this mileage, 21.3. And that says that you're going to, that says that you're going to use 1,126.76 gallons. So the number of gallons that you save, you're going to subtract, and that's roughly 27.09 gallons saved. You have to be able to find that answer in order to do part B. If you save 27.09 gallons and gas is $2 a gallon, then you will take the cost per gallon times the number of gallons that you save, and that tells you that you will save $54.18 in the year. Now, if we expand that and say, okay, everybody, there's 130 million cars out there in the country, and if every one of those cars saves 27.09 gallons, how many total gallons would we save? And so we're going to take 130 million. You could write out those 6 zeros, and you're going to take it times 27.09 gallons. And so if you don't write it out, you're going to get this decimal, 3521.7 gallons saved. And if you do use the zeros, you're going to have 5 zeros after. So that's going to be 3,521,700,000 gallons saved. So just watch it how MyMathLab wants you to enter that question. All right, we've got 3 more problems here, guys. Actually, sorry, 2 more. The next one is dealing with finding the number of miles driven, okay? So you have an odometer reading that starts here and finishes here. So step 1, find number of miles driven. So we're going to take 38,687 and subtract 38,451. And that says from the odometer reading, you drove 231 miles. Or Wendy, I keep saying you. Okay, and so then when Wendy filled up her tank, she took 12.6 gallons. So we take the number of miles driven and divide it by the number of gallons used, and that's going to give us miles per gallon. So 231 divided by 12.6 says that she gets 18.73 miles per gallon. Okay? All right, the last one, guys. I think this is the last one. And this one is a good one because you will see one of these on your test, okay? So the important thing to remember is that when you have insurance, okay, you have a deductible, and then a policy covers 80%, which means if the policy covers 80%, then you are responsible for 20%, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to do this, okay? we're going to take the total cost of the x-ray, total cost of x-rays. So $620 plus $910 comes out to be $1,530, okay? So that's the amount, you go to the hospital, that's the total cost of the bill, but you're responsible for paying that $150 before you leave, okay? So that's your deductible, okay? So there's $1,380, and you have to pay $1,380 left to pay, and you have to pay 20% of that, okay? So you're going to multiply it by 0.20. So that says you're going to get a bill in the mail for $276, okay? So what they're asking you is how much in total did this person pay, okay? So remember, you've already paid the $150 deductible, and now you get a bill for the 20% that you have to pay as well. And so the total amount that you paid is $426. And so a lot of times students overcharge, or they don't remember that they've already paid that $150 deductible. So this is the deductible that you pay when you're at the hospital. They always say you have a copay. That's what you pay. And this is the bill that you get in the mail of the 20% left that the insurance did not pay. And this is your total. Okay, so I'm going to do another video for 1.3 on the second part, but hopefully this will get you going for that first part.